Hello everybody, my name is ZenGaming101, and welcome to my guide series for the Goonstation edition of Space Station 13. I'm going to go ahead and get straight into it, but if you want to know why I'm doing this and goals I have for this series, I made a video that you can watch here. There will be timestamp chapters on this video, so you can go ahead and click on whatever guide section you need to watch. And with that being said, thank you for joining, and let's learn how to play Space Station 13 on Goonstation. In order to start playing Space Station 13, you'll need to download its engine client, BYOND. This is what you'll use to connect to Goonstation and other servers on SS13. The first thing we need to do is to make an account with BYOND. Go to the top right and click on register. From there, simply create a username and password, and then submit an email that you have access to. Click on the age confirmation box, then accept the TOS by clicking on the box and scrolling down to click agree. After that, hit create account. Next, you'll be redirected to a page asking you to confirm your email. BYOND will send a confirmation link to your inbox for spam. Click on the link they sent you and you'll be redirected to your BYOND account page. Feel free to make any changes that you want from there. Once you've made your account with BYOND, you can go ahead and download the client. You can do this by going over to the top page where it says more and then click download. From here, make sure you download the stable build by clicking on the blue Windows text to download the exe. In the middle of me making this video, BYOND decided to update from version 5.15 to version 5.16. When you install BYOND from the official site, you'll get 5.16 by default. If you're experiencing issues with 5.16 and want to revert back to a previous update, you can download the older version by using the link in the description. It will take you to a page where if you scroll all the way down, you'll find 5.15.1647 BYOND.exe. Once you click on the blue text, you'll be downloading the older version. The exe installation process is pretty standard, but when you come to the components section after selecting your file path, I highly recommend you keep the DirectX box checked, as unchecking it may cause graphical issues during gameplay. Once you click install, BYOND will be ready to launch. Once BYOND is opened, if you don't see the login screen, click on the home button and select login. Go ahead and use the account you created, and I also recommend checking the 3 boxes below the login. Once you're logged in, your name will appear on the home tab. If this is your first time launching BYOND after signing in, go ahead and close and reopen the program, as for some reason, the first launch can sometimes cause connection and UI issues. After installing and signing into BYOND, we are now ready to connect to Goonstation. However, instead of using the BYOND hub browser, we're going to be going ahead and using the Goonstation resources for a safer connection. This is because the BYOND hub has been known to host spoof servers that act like real ones, potentially stealing your BYOND login information once connected. The 3 places to choose where to connect from are GoonHub, Goonstation's wiki page, or Space Station 13's official server browser. For our case, we're going to go ahead and use the GoonHub method. I'll have all the links in the description below. When you go to GoonHub, you'll see 3 joinable servers: Goonstation 1 Classic Hinesby, Goonstation 3 Roleplay Morty, Goonstation 4 Roleplay Sylvester. Goonstation 5 is not a joinable server, as it's only made for private events, so we'll be ignoring that one for now. Goonstation 1 Classic is a non-RP server that doesn't require roleplay, and lacks the RP mechanics found in the other 2 servers, as it doesn't need them. It's a great place to learn jobs, master controls, or just play the game without much interaction. Meanwhile, Goonstation 3 and 4 are light RP servers, where you're expected to make at least an effort to roleplay. The only real difference between the 2 servers is the population size on different days. This is where most players go when they play Goonstation. In this guide, we're going to be choosing Goonstation 3 Roleplay Morty as the server we want to join. So go ahead and click join. When you do this, the page will open to a new tab with a prompt box on it. Click the open link option, which will redirect you to the BYOND application, and will automatically connect you to the server. You will know when it's working when a BYOND window pops up. Wait for it to load, and you'll be in the starting lobby for Goonstation. Welcome to Goonstation, or more specifically, the lobby of Goonstation. This is what you'll see every time you launch a server session for the first time. You'll also see this screen again when a round restarts. I'll go over what this means shortly, but for now, you'll notice a few boxes when you start. First, you'll see a box containing the RP server guidelines and rules. Take your time to read through it. You don't want to accidentally break the rules, and it's important to know what's expected of you when you join the station. If you're new, this box will have a countdown timer before you can click OK. Once you do, the box will disappear. The next box you'll likely see is the server changelog. You can go ahead and press X in the corner to close it, as we won't be needing it. The last box you'll see for now is the new player options. You can click and drag this box anywhere on the screen, but we'll come back to this later. Before you start playing, there are some quality of life settings I'd like to show you that I highly recommend. When you go to the top of the page, you will see File, Display, Game, Audio, and Help. Go to Display, and under the icon settings, if it's not already checked, enable Stretch to Fit. And in the Stretched Mode section, make sure Distort is checked. This will make the UI icons in-game much clearer for widescreen. Speaking of widescreen, if you go down to the screen settings, make sure widescreen is enabled instead of square, and keep the option vertical split checked. This keeps the text box on the right staying vertical, making the box more readable. Under frame rate, I suggest keeping it either to smooth or creamy, as anything below 40 or above 67 doesn't really look or feel the best. In the Windows settings, these options are all based on personal preference. Full screen hides the server banner, dark mode changes the main window to dark mode, and hide menu hides the entire top menu. If you decided to hide the menu, you can see in chat how to return it. Next, go to Game. We're going to be enabling a few options in the Interface tab. Firstly, enable Use TG HUD layout. What this enables is an inventory UI layout that's a little bit more beginner friendly. Next, enable Use WASD controls for WASD movement. Then enable Use Chewy styled pop-ups and enable Chewy's custom window frames. These make some job-related window frames much more readable and look nicer. Lastly, enable Show Item Ghost on mouse over. I'll show you what this does in game momentarily. Additionally, if you are colorblind by chance, there are options in the Accessibilities tab right here. The only thing I'll mention on the audio portion above is if for some reason in-game music is playing and you like it to stop, you can click Audio and select Stop the Music. When you click on the Help settings, you'll get two options, Admin Help and Mentor Help. Clicking on either one will open a text box. Admin Help is for server-related issues, while Mentor Help is a resource for gameplay questions that you might have. Once you ask a mentor a question, you will receive an answer in a pink text with a sound cue in the text box to the right. Now that we have all that done, let's get right into character creation. Although I find this step fun, it's entirely optional. You can simply click Join Game to play as a randomly generated character. So if you prefer to skip character creation, jump to the timestamp here for the next section, where we'll talk about jobs, aka occupations. When you open character setup, this window appears. For now, we'll focus on this area and get to the profile sections once we're done creating a character. I'll also cover occupations at the end of character creation. First, in the General tab, we have your name. When you type in your first and last name, they at least have to be 2 characters long. And if you don't want a middle name, you can simply click on it, remove the name, and hit submit. Alternatively, if you want a random name, enable random here. This will give you a random name on every shift. We're going to name this character Matt Hams, why not? Go ahead and leave hyphenate name unchecked. It's personal preference. Next, you can choose between 2 body types, male or female. Below that, you can rotate the pronouns to your preferred option. Then, you can enter their age. I'll go ahead and set it to 50, right in the middle. After that, you can select the blood type, which is mainly relevant for medical purposes. Now we're onto our bank PIN. This is the code that you'll be using to access computers, vending machines, and more. You can set it to something that you remember or choose a random one. If you forget your PIN, I'll show you how to view it once you're in game. Under that, you have your flavor text set up. If you hover your mouse over the edit symbol, it shows you what each text and note is for. This is of course optional, and I won't be putting anything in for the time being. Cyborg names are used when you spawn as a cyborg. Leaving it empty will assign you a random name for a cyborg, which is fun. In the PDA section, you can customize your PDA's ringtone and their message colors. You will hear your selected ringtone by clicking this. You can also choose the color of how your messages appear in the text box to the right. When you're done with the general section, go ahead and click on the tab that says Appearance. This is where you make your character truly your character. If you don't want to spend time customizing the appearance, you can enable the random appearance option, which will randomize it every shift. On the right, you have your character's portrait, which you can spin around in a 3D view. It updates whenever you make a change to their appearance. You can click on any of the color selection tabs to change the color to whatever you desire. But for now, we'll start off with skin tones. When you click on it, you'll be able to choose from a set of skin tones. When you choose one, you can also adjust the hue of each skin tone using the 2 left arrows to make it darker or the 2 right arrows to make it lighter. Next is eye color, which was added not that long ago. After selecting your eye color, we move on to the top, middle, and bottom detail list. When you click on the None option for any of them, it will give you a range of customization options for hair and facial features. The hair options on the list end when you scroll down and you see none, while the rest below are mustache and facial options. I'd recommend setting them all to none and experimenting with them until you find something you like. For the top and middle details, you can combine different hairstyles to create something unique. I would suggest keeping the bottom details limited to mustaches and facial options to make things easier. We'll move on and skip special styles. On the underwear option, it's as simple as picking what you want and picking what color. Not too difficult. Bionics and organs are trait-based modifiers, which we'll go over in the next tab. If you're a beginner, I don't recommend messing with these right now. Lastly, in the appearance section, we have sound effects your character makes. Go ahead and select what you prefer. Just to note, the chud sound effect is what you'll hear when you type another player or something. Now, let's move on to traits. In the trait section, you'll see a big variety of options along with a point counter. Positive traits cost points, while negative traits grant an extra point. You'll also find some traits that are purely for flavor and RP, which don't cost any points. And when you truly look at some of these, I will admit some positives and negatives seem subjective. But while traits are completely optional and you don't even need to spend any points to play, if you're new, I recommend using the 1 point you're given for free on something that actually could be helpful. Scroll all the way down until you see the skill Survivalist and click Add. What this skill does is it allows you to heal significantly more damage by eating. It won't fully heal you if you take severe damage, but it can be clutch especially when there's not many doctors on station and you're badly injured. Aside from that recommendation, for now, that's all I will cover on traits. In this guide, we're not going to be messing with the tabs, game settings, or cloud saves just to keep things simple. When you're done in the General, Appearance, and Traits tabs, click on Profile Name, name it anything you like, and hit Save on any of the empty profiles above. Once you see saved in the chat box, your profile is saved. Now that anytime you want to play that character, go to Character Setup, click Load, and you'll see that your character is loaded. Now with Character Setup complete, we are ready to move on to jobs and occupations. If I'm going to be talking about jobs, I need to quickly explain how rounds work in Space Station 13. When you select a job and load into the station, you're starting a round, which we usually refer to as a shift. A shift on Goonstation can last anywhere from 15 minutes to 2 hours, but it commonly runs for about an hour and 30 minutes usually. During this time, your main goal is to do your job, survive until the end of the shift, and eventually leave the station. Once the shift ends, the server restarts, a new run begins, and we do it all over again. If you want to know how long a shift's been running and which map it's on, check the top right of the chat. There, you'll see the current map, the next map, and the shift's duration. There's 2 ways to start your shift, joining in progress and joining on start. Most commonly, you'll be joining in progress, so I'll be showing you that first. On the new player's option box under character setup, click join game. Once you do, 2 boxes will appear. One is your Spacebox page. This is the currency you earn for completing shifts on Goonstation. You will get more Spacebucks if you survive the full shift, providing a little incentive to make it to the end. Let's go ahead and move on to the job selection screen. This is where you can select the job you want to perform for the shift. If you're new, I would recommend starting with the blue civilian roles. Staff assistant and janitor are the best starting jobs when wanting to learn Goonstation. You can also try the light blue special roles, but some of them are a bit more complex. And whatever you do, don't make your first shift as a stowaway. Trust me, learn from my mistakes. You can learn about what each job does by clicking on the job name and clicking on the wiki option. When you've chosen the job you want, click on the empty space for that role, and you'll spawn into the map's arrival section to start your shift. Alternatively, you could click on the job text, and you'll be asked to confirm if you want that job. Once you've clicked join, the spawning process will be the same. Now, you've officially joined a shift in progress. Now to start a shift from the very start, it's a little bit different. But first, let's edit your character's occupation list. Go to Character Setup, load your character, and click on Occupations. You'll see a list of all the available jobs that might be set to low priority by default. If that's the case, click Reset All Jobs, then click on Unwanted and hit Submit. From here, use the left arrow next to each job to adjust its priority as needed. You can also click on the job text to choose the order. I recommend placing the jobs you want the most at the favorites, followed by other preferred jobs at medium priority and less wanted ones at the low priority. Then keep any unwanted jobs marked as unwanted so they don't get assigned to you. You might also see a section called antagonist roles. Go ahead and keep these unchecked until you're at least familiar with how the game works so you can fully utilize these roles. Once you're done, click back to setup and click save on your character's profile. Now once you've stayed until the end of the shift or joined the end of one, the server will close. When the server restarts, you'll see a countdown timer of when the next round begins. While the timer is running, click declare round to ready up and join the shift from the very start. This will use the job preference sheet that you set up. The main difference between this and joining in progress is that you'll start in your job's office instead of having to go there manually. However, you're not guaranteed your favorite job slot, as it depends on how many slots are available and whether other players have your favorite job set as their favorite. You can see who else is declaring ready by clicking the top right corner and selecting Lobby. You can switch back to the map and time screen by clicking Status. If you want to guarantee your chosen role, simply let the timer count to 0 and wait for the Declare Round option to change to Join Round. This allows you to join the shift in progress from the start and see what roles are available. While this is happening, you might see a map vote occurring in the chat. It's completely optional, but if you want to participate, click the green Map Vote button. A map vote screen will appear. Simply click on a map to turn it green and cast your vote. You can also vote on multiple maps as well. Now that you know how to select a job and join a shift, it's time to learn how to navigate your station. Let's talk about the maps of Goonstation. This will be brief, but I wanted to talk about the maps you'll most likely be playing on when you join Goonstation. As of this video's upload date, there are 10 rotating maps along with 2 event maps. The main maps are Atlas, Clarion, Cogmap 1, Cogmap 2, Donut 2, Donut 3, Kondaru, Mushroom, Nadir, and Ocean. The 2 event maps, Pod Wars and Wrestle Map, won't be covered here since they're not part of the regular rotation. If you want a full view of the map yourself, you can do so by visiting GoonHub. On the left side of GoonHub's site, click on Maps, and you'll see the maps that I just mentioned. Alternatively, if you're in game, you can access the maps by clicking on the maps text in the top right corner above the chat. This will open a map of the area where your shift is taking place. Most of the maps listed here follow a space station theme, while Nadir and Ocean follow a deep sea station theme, adding different mechanics not found on the space theme maps. Also, while I don't have footage of this, I can confirm from personal experience that the map Atlas could sometimes be located on a planet instead of space. Not much changes here, but I wanted to point that out. One of the first things that happen when you join a shift in progress on Goonstation is that you spawn on the station's arrival section. On most maps, the arrival area is a shuttle bay, while on others, you can wake up from this huge thing called the cryogenic sleeping unit, which you can also enter if you can't stay the full shift, and if you have to leave the station early. Every map has these units, and it frees up a slot that you took originally from the job availability. The only difference between the 2 arrival methods is on the map Ocean, where you're transported to the arrivals area in a mini sea shuttle. I'll quickly on screen show the locations of every arrivals area in each map. Another thing I'd like to point out about a station's map is its colors and signs. Most apartments on the map are color-coded, making it easier to identify your location based on the wall colors. Here's a quick cheat sheet I made to explain what each color represents on a station's map. There will also be signs that tell you if you're near a department or going towards one, like these wall signs or these directional signs here. A station's map can be very overwhelming at times, and some layouts are more complex than others. So feel free when you're on the map for the first time to walk around and get a feel for what the map feels like, especially to get to know where each department is. Don't be afraid to ask another player where something is. Most of the time, they'll help you find it, and it could also be a great way to start RP. The last thing I want to mention about maps is the escape shuttle. At the end of every shift, you will hear this announcement.
Shuttle is en route.
Once you hear this, you need to head to the shuttle area before it departs without you. You can check the countdown timer here on top of the chat. While there's a chance the shuttle may be cancelled, it's best to be prepared. In the case that it isn't, here are the escape shuttle locations for each map. And with the map basics out of the way, we could finally start learning the controls and UI of Goonstation. Welcome to the station. As I mentioned before, you'll usually spawn here in arrivals on your first visit. Before we start moving, let me explain a few UI elements. On the right side, you'll find the chat box. This is where you'll see people talking over the radio, as well as those around you. You'll also see text above a person's head when they speak. But if you miss something, you can always check the chat log. When you spawn, you'll see the jobs that you were picked or given, your ID number, and your job's objectives. These objectives are optional, but completing them will earn you a Spacebucks bonus at the end of the round. If you forget what your ID pin is or what your objectives are, click on the commands page and then click on View Notes to see them. Next are the three icons located on the top right of your screen. These are your body temperature, your stamina, and your health. Your body temperature gauge will show you if you're too hot or too cold. If you are, you'll slowly take damage. Either burn damage from heat or frost damage from the cold. Your stamina is pretty simple. If you perform an action, your stamina will decrease. If you take a moment to breathe and stop what you're doing or walk slowly, your stamina bar will regenerate. And then most importantly, there's your health. This heart icon represents your health bar. Green usually means healthy, yellow indicates mildly injured, orange means you're heavily injured, and red is critical condition. Additionally, up here as well, you will see status effect icons, such as irradiation when you're heavily irradiated, bleeding when you're heavily hemorrhaging, or atmospheric effects like O2 deficiency, breathing in toxins, or inhaling hot air. These only appear when a hazard is currently happening and go away when they're no longer a threat. Next is your hunger and thirst, which functions like your health system. The more hungry and thirsty you become, the more the color changes. If these indicators drop below a certain percentage, you'll start to experience a heavy debuff for your character. So try your best to not get these both to 0% and to keep yourself well hydrated and fed. Now to your inventory. I'm going to assume that you're using the options I mentioned earlier and you have the TG style HUD enabled. If you're using the Goon HUD, it will look a little bit different. I'm going to be going over what each slot means left to right. On the far left is your ID slot. Next is your belt slot, where you can attach items to yourself such as tool belts and satchels. After that is your backpack or wearable slot, where you can equip a backpack or in some other cases, a wearable jetpack. When you click on your backpack or belt, you'll reveal the contents of it inside. Then you have your hand slots, one for your left hand and one for your right hand. And then finally, the last two slots are your pocket slots. On the far left, you have your clothing inventory, with slots for hats, glasses, headsets, gloves, masks, shoes, and other items in their respective slots. Now that we covered some UI elements, let's go ahead and move on to controls. To move your character, use WASD to walk around and hold Shift to sprint. When you hover your mouse over an item, a transparent image of the item that you're about to pick up will appear. This is what the Show Item Ghost on Mouse Over option does. To pick up an item, simply just click on it and it will be transferred in one of your hands. You could switch the hand you're using by pressing the E key. If the item in your hand is activatable, you can turn it on by pressing the C key. Make sure you click on items with an empty hand, as interacting with something while holding an item in your hand may cause you to accidentally hit whatever you're trying to interact with. If you want to move an item to your backpack or any other container, simply have the item in your hand highlighted and click on the container. Alternatively, you could just click on the item and then drag it over to the container. To drop an item that you have in your hand, press the Q key. You can also throw the item by holding space and clicking the area you want to throw it at. And if you have an item that you can equip on your body, you can do so by pressing the V key. You can inspect things by pressing Alt left click, which will display a description of the selected items in the chat box. This works for both items and people. If you Alt left click on a person, you'll see their name and occupation. You will also see a few UI elements to the bottom right next to chat. We will go over all these later, but for now, we'll focus on the pull, stand, and resist buttons. pull is what you want to click on when you want to pull an item. You can also do this by pressing Ctrl left click on the item to start pulling it. If there are multiple items around you, click pull and it will give you a prop box asking which items you would like to pull. The stand button just toggles if you're standing and when you're on the floor. You can also press this button when you have slipped on water or a banana to stand back up. It's also useful in case you're on fire. Stop, drop, and roll rules. Now with the resist button, you can simply just click resist or press the Z key to toggle it. Pressing it puts you into a defensive block mode and allows you to escape crewmates' grabs with a single press. Now that you know how to move around and interact with items, let's go over how to communicate with your crewmates. Simply just press the T key to type out a message for somebody. Keep in mind that this will only be heard from people in your line of sight vicinity. If you want to talk to the whole station or a specific department, press the Y key, and you'll be on the radio chat. Click on the department frequency you would want to type on and say your message. Sometimes though, it's easier to nod your head or perform an emote to get your point across, or if you just feel like doing a good old flip. I've made a cheat sheet of all the emotes you can do by holding down the control key. In case you want to talk out of character and let a player know something, go ahead and hold Alt and press L. This will open the local OOC, which enables out of character while in game. You'll notice that there's LOOC and then OOC. OOC is only available after a round is over and you're in the lobby screen, just to keep that in mind. Now the things you will always spawn with is your PDA, your ID, your backpack, and a little bit of space credits. You can activate your PDA by putting it in your hand and pressing the C key. This will open up your PDA's interface. You can close it by pressing the X in the corner of the window. One of the first things you could do to free up space in your inventory is to store your ID in your PDA. Your ID is a key that grants you access into certain areas. If you can't get through a door, it's either because you don't have the necessary access or your ID isn't equipped on your ID slot. Inserting your ID into your PDA and then placing the entire PDA in your ID slot can grant you the same access as just having the ID there. To do this, hold the PDA with one hand, take the ID with the other hand, and simply click on the PDA while you're holding the ID. Alternatively, you can just click and drag the ID into your PDA. Once your ID is inserted, pressing C will now display your space credits and give you an option to eject the ID. With your ID inside your PDA, you can now deposit and withdraw space credits like a portable ATM. To deposit credits, use the same method as inserting the ID by clicking or dragging, and you'll hear the sound confirming the transaction. To withdraw money, click withdraw, enter the amount you want to take out, and hit confirm. After that, the money will be in your hands. Space credits reset at the start of every shift, so you don't have to worry about spending all your credits during one shift and not having any for the next shift. Now that you know how to use a PDA, let's help you stay fed and hydrated. There are many ways to eat and drink on a station, with the most common methods being to visit a station's bar to check if the cook has put out food or if the bartender's on duty. If you'd rather not be social just yet, or if you're too busy or hungry to go to a bar, you can use a vending machine instead. To use a vending machine, you have two options, paying with your ID or using space credits. If you're using your ID, start by activating your PDA and ejecting your ID card by selecting the eject option. Or simply just right-clicking on the PDA itself and choosing the eject option. With the ID in hand, click on the vending machine to bring up the PIN entry screen, then click the green arrow to continue. Once you've done that, you can put your ID back in your PDA, and now you can buy items from the vending machine. Any purchased items will be placed into your empty hand, or if both hands are full, it will just be dropped on the ground. When you're finished, make sure you click on the blue ID at the bottom of the vending machine menu to remove your card data, so no one else will use your account when buying from the machine. To use space credits, simply take out the money from your pocket, or withdraw it from your PDA. Then hold the credits in your hand, click on the vending machine to insert the credits, and from there, you can purchase items like before. When you're done, make sure to click the eject button in the bottom right corner of the vending machine window to take back any remaining credits. Most food items can be eaten by simply equipping them and then clicking on yourself, but some food related items can require more interaction. For example, with the soda can, you need to press C to open the tab and then click on yourself to drink it. Some foods also require utensils to be eaten, such as a fork for spaghetti or a spoon for soup. Most foods will give buffs to your character, but also sometimes give debuffs as well. I'll let you figure out what foods do what. Something else you'll interact with a lot during your time on the station are lockers and crates. A locker holds items you can either equip or put into your inventory. You can left click the top of the locker to open it, and then right click the inside to view the contents. You can close a locker by clicking either on the door or on the top of the locker again. You can also store things by throwing them into the locker and then closing it. You can also do the same with these metal crates here. Simply put an item inside and then close it. With crates, you can either click pull or use control left click to drag it wherever you need to go. Crates are useful for transporting to one department to another, such as carrying food or equipment in them. Now, let's discuss about some health related things. Sometimes you'll get hurt or sick when you're on station and you'll need medical attention. Look for the light blue wall colors and look for a department called MedSci. There, you'll find a team of doctors that will heal you for most of the issues that you have. Just stand still and let them do the work. There will be rare times when they're not around, but most of the time they are there. Also, sometimes on the top left, you can get a mutation or a superpower. You can enable these by clicking on them, but I'll keep most of them a surprise for now. Let's move on and talk about your breathable air, or what the red O2 symbol means when you see it on the top right corner. Sometimes on the station, there's what's called a hold breach. When this happens, the area that you might be in will have no oxygen. When that happens, you'll start to suffocate and take damage, which will knock you unconscious and then kill you after some time. To survive this hazard, you'll need an oxygen mask connected to an O2 tank, or a spacesuit with internal air supply. Luckily, your backpack contains a white box with a mini O2 tank, a gas mask, and a crowbar. To equip the gas mask, hold it in your hands and then press V. Then store the mini O2 tank in your pocket or keep it in your hand. Then, click the mask icon on the upper left corner to activate it, and then you'll start breathing safely. However, be careful if your O2 tank runs out. You'll start to suffocate due to no air coming through the tube. This also applies for traveling in space, but when you travel in space, you will need a jetpack of some kind. Because in case you don't, you'll just start floating away, never to be seen again. So unless you have the proper equipment, it's best not to travel into space. Another quick tip is the crowbar in your backpack can be used to open doors that have no power. Pull out the crowbar and have it in your hand, and then click the door to pry it open, to set yourself free. Now, let's talk about the last UI element you'll see on the bottom right, the intent system. The intent system is a mechanic that determines how a player will interact with other crewmates or items on the station when it comes to being used like an action, like clicking, attacking, or interacting with an item. There are 4 different types of intents you can choose from: help, grab, disarm, and harm. Helping is a non-harmful intent, often trying to assist or support things when you interact with them. Players can pass through you when you have this enabled, and this is the intent you'll most likely be having by default. Grabbing is an intent that is used to physically grab or hold onto something or someone. It's useful for actions like dragging, or holding onto someone, or holding someone still while you're carrying them. Disarm is an intent that is used to knock items out of another crewmate's hands without causing damage, or just to mess with them. Lastly, the harming intent is self-explanatory. It is used when you want to attack something or someone. Usually when you have this enabled, you're going in for some damage, and you'll be attacking with whatever you have equipped in your hand. When you're attacking someone, you can also pick which body part you want to focus on by clicking on the individual limb on this body diagram here. You can click on each intent to cycle through them, but if you're in a combat encounter, using the keybinds 1, 2, 3, and 4 will most likely be the way you're going to be doing things. Just like with the emotes, I made a cheat sheet with most of the keybinds that you'll be using while making your way through the station. And that's it for the first Goonstation guide. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. This has been a project that I've been working on for about a whole month now, and it's been a joy to work on. Hopefully I'll keep making more of these in the future, and I really hope you learned something. If you did, a like on the video would be appreciated. I'm looking forward to seeing all the feedback, and if there's anything you think I should have mentioned, or if you have anything you want to share, please put it down in the comments below. With that being said, I'll leave you all with one more tip. When you're on the escape shuttle, walk over to a chair and then click on yourself. Once you do this, you'll be buckled into the chair. This keeps you from falling over when the shuttle takes off. And whatever you do, never, and I mean never, stand by a door while the shuttle is flying. Till next time, take it easy out there.